you. All right. I'm going to start with the Hall of Fame. So I'm going to give you just like some of the names that are up for Hall of Fame, okay? Chase Utley, Jimmy Rollins, Manny Ramirez, Andy Pettitte, Dustin Pedroia, Andrew Jones, Cole Hamels, Mark Burley, Carlos Beltran. Those are just some of the names that are up for the Hall of Fame this year. The reason why we played that highlight is it's possible only one Hall of Famer makes the cut this year.
Really?
And that would be Carlos Beltran. Here's the reason. If you follow the Hall of Fame tracker with Not Mr. Tibbs, he puts together a compilation of the ballots. And right now, he has procured 45% of the ballots for the Hall of Fame. You need 75% to make the cut. Right now, Carlos Beltran is on 90.1% of the ballots.
Really?
So it feels pretty reasonable to think that he is going to make the cut. The only other person who is above 75% right now is Andrew Jones. And the reason why you have to be above 75% right now is because we have seen this play out year after year after year. That number of the public ballots always dips with the final. And that's one of the reasons people are like, well, that's why they didn't put their ballot public, because people are going to be mad. And so Andrew Jones, I think, is getting into safe territory, but that's still a little bit on the fence. And so that's why Chase Utley is at 70%, 69.6%. You're like, oh, yeah, he might make it. I bet he doesn't this time, because when the rest of the ballots come in, I feel like he's going to drop. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about the prospect of only Beltran or only Beltran and Jones making the Hall of Fame? Are there anybody else on the list? Is there? Or are there any other people that I listed that you're like, that person should be in the Hall of Fame? That's a Hall of Famer.
Well, I'm kind of fighting with myself on Beltran.
Ooh, okay.
He got Rookie of the Year the second year that he played baseball.
Right.
Because that's how they do it. It's weird. MVP, fourth in MVP voting in 2007. Other than that, he was multi-time All-Star.
Right.
He made some exceptional plays. Wasn't he involved in cheating the game? Wasn't he involved with the Astros and the whole trash can gate?
Was he, or was he part of a different scandal? But
Boston. I think it was Boston. No, I think he was involved with that too. And I'm looking at numbers here, so I'm looking at home runs, 435. Is the number 500, or is it 400?
No, it's still 500 with the exception of Palmeiro.
29th overall in doubles. Batting average, 279. Now, obviously, later in his career, he was a bit of a different player.
Right.
Because he played until he was 40, which is really awesome. You get a chance to play till you're 40. You had a good run there. When he got to Texas, when he was traded here, he said he loved it here because there wasn't as much pressure. He was like, it's just about baseball. So he's not my favorite candidate for the Hall of Fame.
Okay, you know what? I'm glad that you brought that up, because he's not going to make it this year, but you got to think he has a great chance to make it next year, is Chase Utley. And this is where how people define a Hall of Famer makes the difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you can look at Chase Utley's career OPS of 823 and his career WAR of almost 65, and you're like, wow, that's nice. That's very nice. I look at the fact that, do you know how many times he won the MVP? Obviously none. But more importantly than that, do you know how many times he was top 5 for MVP? Never.
Okay.
There was not one time that Chase Utley was considered one of the top 5 players in his league. Now, I realize that there was a run of 5 seasons where he was 13th, 7th, 8th, 14th, and 8th. And to me, that puts you in the Hall of Very Good. And I remember Chase Utley was always a good player. I do not ever recall a consistent run of baseball where people were like, man, Chase Utley is one of the absolute best players in the game. He was
played in the
always
right markets.
Yeah, he did. And he was really good. He was absolutely really good. I just think, especially for the toughest Hall of Fame and all his sports to get into, I don't view him as a Hall of Famer.
A couple of names that I might consider more than those guys, and I'm not sure exactly where the Andy Pettitte case is.
And because that's somebody who cheated the game as well.
Yeah, Andy Pettitte, I would put him above most of the people on the list.
Right.
Because if there was a pitcher that I wanted in a big game, it was Andy Pettitte. If there was a pitcher that I was afraid of, it was Andy Pettitte. I know that team was stacked and everything. It just seemed like Andy Pettitte had moments that really shone during my era of just acknowledging baseball. I have a soft spot in my heart for Felix Hernandez. So that's probably always going to be that way.
Yeah, and Felix Hernandez is...
There were times where we were like, he might be the best pitcher in baseball right now.
And see, and his is tough because if you look at the overall stats, I understand he had 169 wins and a 3.42 ERA. That doesn't feel like a Hall of Famer. And I get that, and that's where I understand different people have different definitions, because I think you could look at the run from probably 2009 to 2014 and think, I felt like Felix Hernandez was far more consistently the best or one of the best pitchers of his era. But I get it. That's different people will have different ideas for the Hall of Fame.
And there was like a 3-year stretch where I thought Matt Kemp was one of the best baseball players on the planet too.
Sure. and so by the way, a lot of people were asking about Cole Hamels, and I get that. So Cole Hamels right now is at 32%. So that's not terrible for your first go-round. That's not great, but that's not terrible. And by the way, Shin-Soo Choo, he is at 0.5%. So Shin-Soo Choo is going to drop off the Hall of Fame ballot after this year, because if you don't get at least 5%, you're out. But Cole Hamels, what you see over the years, and this is ridiculous, a Hall of Famer is a Hall of Famer. But if you think there's a difference between a first ballot Hall of Famer and a second ballot Hall of Famer, all right, I will listen to that. But what usually happens is Cole Hamels will end up at 30%. And then next year, he'll be at 36%. And then next year, and then we'll get to year 10. And the question will be, will he be able to eke up to 75.2% or whatever? And I'm like, what changed from year 6 to year 10 that you're like, all right, now he's a Hall of Famer? But that's something that we've seen forever and probably is not apt to change.
Here's my feeling on Cole Hamels. Damn, was he a good pitcher?
He was. He should be in the Hall of Very Good.
That's my feeling on Cole Hamels. Damn, he was a really good pitcher.
Yeah. And from the 580, those names are solidly in the Hall of Very Good. Yeah. I don't think any of them were ever Hall of Famers. And that does become the debate, but it looks like you'll get at least one. And then you got to think Andruw Jones has a really good shot. And for Andruw Jones, at least, I can think about just the captivating defense that felt like everyone was like, he's the best.
Yeah, you couldn't find a better center fielder for defense in my mind, and he was a good hitter too.
Absolutely.
I can make that case too, but somebody said it a minute ago, man, Hall of Fame's down bad. That is not a good thing for baseball.